Hey guys, how you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Up. Good to
Yes.
see you.
Yeah.
So I thought we were talking, we had the three partners on the call. So we would discuss kind of our business and some of the structure behind it and decisions we've made to get to this point and then where we're going as a company going forward. Sound good?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Let clients in behind the closed doors, right?
Yeah, I think, let's kind of start with what we've done well, or I think what's worked out well. Greg's a big positive focus guy, so we'll go there. We've really tapped into the idea of we want to serve a client family. So not a, let's say, traditional husband, wife as the client, but really that couple, the most important people to them are some combination of their parents, if their parents are living, or their children, if they have them, or grandchildren. So when we say the term client throughout this conversation, we're probably going to use it interchangeably with family. But that's, I think what we've done well is thinking about that of money and the financial decisions are important, but what they're for is largely some combination of those family members that we discussed. So thinking in terms of client families, I know has been a key part for us, and it's mentioned multiple times in our mission statement of the firm. So I think that's one thing that we've done well. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, family appears 3 times in our mission statement. I'll steal your line ahead of you, Joe.
Yeah. So, and then to think about how we serve those families, what we decided to do when we were, building out the firm is Greg and I both started as, let's use the term practitioners of, we were finding clients, serving clients, making the trades for clients, doing the paperwork for clients, doing the compliance work, all the things ourselves. And, as we've, grown in our careers, realizing, hey, that's not going to work. And that's not good for ourselves. And it's not good for the client family. So made a big push probably 6 or 7 years ago to say, okay, we want to make sure we have 2 certified financial planners on each client family. Greg, what does that do for you, having 2 advisors working with each client?
Well, in my mind, what that does is it alleviates the 100% of pressure on either one of the advisors, where if someone is sick, paternity, maternity leave, vacation, you have another advisor that is just as qualified to answer a question. So the email isn't sitting in an inbox. You're not violating your vacation time with your family to get back to a client. There's also the different perspective. So there's not one way to solve a problem. There's multiple ways, and there's pros and cons to each one of those ways. So having 2 different minds, perspectives, people interjecting and thinking through how to solve the client's task or issue at hand, it really provides the client just that one extra layer of service. So that's what it does for us. And then for the client, again, it's 2 people that will be getting back to them. If one's not responsive, the other one should be. And then you're getting the multiple perspectives and you're developing a relationship with 2 different people. So the way I see it, it's good on both sides, as long as our business can continue to structure itself to serve the client with 2, CFPs.
Yeah, 2 heads are better than 1.
Right. So, so the challenge that I see moving forward as we grow, if we're going to use the word seat, who's in seat 1 and who's in seat 2, meaning who's the lead advisor, who's the servicing advisor. The lead advisor, the way I understand it, it's going to be the ultimate decision maker. Service advisor, hey, did you think about these multiple ways to address this issue? And then lead advisor ultimately says, this is what the recommendation to the client's going to be. And ultimately, the one who's problem solving, who's reaching out to the COIs, the other people in the client's lives, and steering the relationship, where the servicing advisor, seat 2, would be the support. Hey, what do you need for this client? It's not, what am I, what is needed? I'm not thinking about it in chair 1 any longer. I'm in chair 2 waiting to take orders from the lead advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like you said, pointing out what might be missing, like a co-pilot situation is you're gonna have 2 pilots in the cockpit, but they're not necessarily both flying the plane, right? One is, but then the other one's there to make sure, number one, you don't fly into a mountain. Like, hey, here's this big blind spot you have you're not seeing. And then 2, being able to check all the dials and check the courses and check the trajectory of where you're going. So I think having those 2 advisors on there is helpful for that. But I like data and I like charts and pictures. Client like says I'm like Ross Perot, how he used to always have a chart out for everything to do it. So I like this, and we refer to this sometimes too as internally. This is Investment News puts out this study every year, and they run a whole bunch of different metrics. And the one I want to focus on for this conversation is here in the middle, which is active clients per professional. So in the dark blue or navy blue, it says top performers, and then the lighter blue, it says all other firms. Now, remember the context of what they're talking about here. Top performers would be top financial performer one. So there's an inherent push-pull there of, okay, if Greg is servicing more clients, he's probably financially more successful. But the flip of that is, what is the service experience that the client's getting? And then, just as a footnote, it's written in here. It says, of course, there's always a danger of taking productivity too far. If a firm continues to add clients without adding professionals, it will sooner or later start experiencing declining quality of client service and potentially departure of clients.
Yeah.
So, where we sit as a firm is we kind of want to be in the middle of these, balancing those business objectives. If we look at it now, we're probably at about 63, 62, somewhere around that, clients per professional. So one thing we talk intentionally about is like, hey, we want to keep that low. Similar to, I think, we think about our kids going to school. Like, what's the class size? Is it one teacher and 30 kids sitting there? Or is it one teacher and 15 to 20 kids sitting there?
Right.
There's just something you lose as that number gets bigger. So, Greg, as we've grown and we've met more, client families that we work with, this is something that I know we spend a lot of time talking about to say, hey, all right, if we're at 62, 63, what's the point here where we're like, okay, we need to add another professional to be able to help, service those clients? Because if it goes too far towards this Navy direction, I think you're doing clients a disservice by not giving them the service that their family deserves. And then active clients per staff would be total head count. So this is, as I mentioned before, there was a day when Greg Armstrong was doing the paperwork and Greg Armstrong was doing the reviews and Greg Armstrong was doing the investment trades. And, that's developed and evolved over time to have a team of people that, supports Armstrong Dixon to do that. So that's another metric on there that, we track regularly and want to make sure we still are in line with that. And, Katie, we've left you out of this a little bit so far, but I think, your role, we had you come in for this year was to help manage some of this. So can you talk a little bit about, the role you've stepped into lately?
Yeah, as Greg was talking about providing, the service and having differing opinions, I was headed where you were heading, that you guys are superheroes in my mind, but you do have human capacity limits. And I think that type of structure, the 2 advisors with a healthy support staff, allows for our firm to grow and to provide such great services to more families. Because if we don't grow, we have to be limited to do that. I don't think any of us on this call want to sacrifice that quality. So my job is to manage kind of the operations team and manage the staff and make sure we're all working in accordance. Everything's flowing together so that Greg and Joe can go focus on the client relationships and building them and strengthening them, and working with Nav and Skylar and potentially other chair 2s, so on and so forth, growing the team, growing the clients to grow the team.
Right.
And just as a function of doing that is then, you wake up and you end up with a business to manage.
Yeah.
And the business comes with, oh, our health insurance changes, and oh, the printer broke, and oh, we need this, that. So I think you do more than what you just let on there, but it's managing a lot of aspects of the business itself, which becomes, its own entity and kind of has its own culture and its own life force, so to speak, of that.
Yes, you'll often hear me joke, I do everything from change light bulbs to answer the SEC's emails. And both of those happened in one day this year, same day. So yes, I am trying to sum up a large quantity in a small sentence, but it's a great, healthy business. I'm proud to work for it and work with it and grow the team to service clients the way that we want to service our own family.
Well,
Beautiful.
well said.
Well said. Well, if you have any questions, anybody can talk to any one of us three about how we're doing and why we're doing it.
Sounds good. It's good to be with you
All
guys
day.
today.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.